Oh, my goodness. It's that time again. GP, where are you?
Oh, he's up here, Hammy.
Oh my. Oh, I'm under control. I'm under control. Woo. Hey, not bad. Did you see that one? You can probably do better, though. Do you ever blow bubbles? Bubbles are fun. You can see how big you can make them, see how far they travel before they burst, see how many you can blow all at once. There's some pretty fancy ways to blow bubbles these days, aren't there? There's the old-fashioned bubble pipe, like I'm using. And there's a big bubble wand, like this. This makes terrific bubbles. Big. Squiggly ones. Wiggly ones. Did you ever see a whole woods full of bubbles? That's right. There was this one day when it looked like the whole riverbank was full of bubbles. Now, no matter how hard you blew or how fast you waved your bubble wand, there's no way you could fill the air with bubbles, is there? Well, let me tell you, on this particular day, down on the riverbank, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Are you ready for an adventure with bubbles? Here it comes. I guess it really started with GP doing a crossword puzzle. You know what a crossword puzzle is? Well, Hammy didn't. So, when Hammy came to visit and found GP mumbling and scratching away with a pencil on a strange-looking piece of paper on the floor, he asked the guinea pig what he was doing. Well, I'm exercising my mighty brain, Hammy, and as you can imagine, it's quite a task. This here is called a crossword puzzle, and what you do is you find a word that matches the description, and then you fit it into the right number of spaces. Oh, can I help, GP? Can I help? Of course, Hammy. Mind you, it'll take a lot of effort, but I'll teach you. Oh, thank you, GP. Thank you. Now, we're going to start with something real simple. Here's one. What's green and wise and sits on a lily pad and has 4 letters? Let's see now. Green, eh? And wise. I don't know anybody like that, do I, Hammy? Hammy, let's work this out together. What do you say? Green and wise and sits? They must mean frog. It's frog. What do you mean, frog? Frog isn't, oh, yes, he is green, and he's wise, but he doesn't sit. Oh, yes, he does sit. He sits. Yeah, now, how many letters? 4 letters. That's it, frog. F-R-O-G, frog. That's the answer. Oh, I knew it. I just knew it. My mighty brain has come through again. Well done, Hammy. I'm so clever to have a friend like you. Oh, my. What's next, GP? Ah, it's a tough one. Look, what's big and squishy and floats through the air and disappears when you touch it? In 7 letters. Let's see, 7 letters. That's a tough part. That's more than 5, isn't it? Yes, it's even more than 6. Come on, Hammy. What do you say? Hammy? How about your airplane? A-E-R-O-P-L-A-N-E. Oh, wait a minute, too many letters. Hey, I've got it. My balloon. Wait a minute now, look at balloon. B-A-L-L-O-O-N. There, 7 letters, Hammy. Soft and squishy, floats through the air. Boy, am I ever clever. But GP, your balloon doesn't disappear when you touch it. Drat! Oh, you're absolutely right, Hammy. Well, never mind. We're going to start all over again. You ready? Okay.
what's big and squishy and floats through the air and disappears when
And
you
while
touch
GP
it.
was teaching Hammy how to do crossword puzzles and exercise their brains, Martha Mouse was giving hers a rest. It was mid-afternoon, and she was dozing off for an afternoon nap in her living room. Above the mantel was a picture of her dear father. Hanging on the wall was her father's favorite clay pipe, and below that was Martha's soap and scrubbing pail. Martha was having some very pleasant afternoon dreams when suddenly, and very, very quietly, her two young nephews came sneaking into the living room and started plotting their next adventure.
Hey, Stan, let's borrow Aunt Martha's soap and pail.
And borrow her father's clay pipe as well.
And they giggled their way across the room and collected their loot ever so quietly, so as not to waken the sleeping Aunt Martha.
Be quiet, Ollie. Don't make so much noise. Shh. I'm being quiet. You're the one making the noise. I am not. You are. Oh, look at the pipe. I got the soap right here. Here comes the pipe.
Once they had everything together, they piled it in their wagon and sneaked off. Back at the old mill, Hammy and GP were still hard at work on the crossword puzzle, still stumped on what was big and squishy and floats through the air and disappears when you touch it in 7 letters.
Drat, that's a tough one, Hammy. Best exercise my mighty brains had for quite a while.
Well, it's not your airplane, GP. It's not your balloon. It's not Martha. It's not Turtle. They certainly don't float through the air.
Hey, maybe it's my grandfather. He was big and squishy, and he was always trying to float through the air, and he did disappear on occasion. I wonder, let's see now. G-R-A-N-D, how do you spell it now? F-A, that's too many letters. I can't even count that high, Hammy. Hammy, I think it's your turn.
And the hamster pressed his little brain to help GP's mighty brain come up with the answer. Not far away, Martha's nephews were scurrying through the woods with their wagon full of loot. They came to a clearing near the side of the river and started in to unpack the pail, the soap, and the pipe.
I'll get the stuff out, Stan.
Oh, let me help, Ollie. Oh, okay, I'll help too. Oh, hey.
I feel like this wagon's tipping, Stan.
Oh. Ollie, run down to the river and get some water. We're going to need water, lots of water.
Okay, Stan. I'll be back in a flash.
And with that, Ollie scurried off to find some water. But how was he going to carry it? Water's something you need a pail for, and he'd left the only pail behind.
Ollie, you forgot your pail.
But Ollie had plans of his own. What's Ollie doing up that tree? There's no water up a tree, is there? Wait a minute, Ollie. Ollie, don't slip. Hang on, Ollie. Hang on. Watch out. Oops.
Hurry up, Ollie. I'm tired of waiting.
Hey, maybe I'll carry the water in this leaf.
Gee, I guess when Ollie's gone, I better get this bucket right side up.
Ollie struggled down to the edge of the river with his leaf to get the water. After a lot of work, he came back and poured the water straight into the pail.
Oh, thanks for the water, Ollie. I was getting thirsty.
And then Ollie watched as Stan added soap from Martha's soap box and began to stir it up into a fine mess of suds. Then Ollie picked up the pipe and dipped it into the suds and huffed and puffed until...
Hey, it's my turn.
Stan grabbed the pipe, dipped it full of suds, and blew.
Wow, Stan, that was a big one.
Almost as big as yours, Ollie. Here.
They took turns dipping and blowing, trying to outdo each other. Stan's bubble got bigger and bigger and started to travel out through the forest and past the trees, joining all the others. Then Ollie blew another one, and they just kept on blowing until it seemed like the whole forest was filling up with bubbles. And some of them blew right out over the river. Just downstream, the wise old frog was dozing on his lily pad when a string of bubbles in the water approached him.
Ahoy, Mr. Frog. I hope I'm not interrupting your daydreams.
Harumph. Of course not, Turtle. I was just admiring your latest string of bubbles.
Well, practice makes perfect. I always say, hey, look.
Then it happened. A single lazy bubble drifted past them overhead.
Why, Turtle, you must be getting very clever in your old age. I had no idea you could blow a bubble that could fly.
Well, I never... Oh, boy. Maybe if I kept on practicing, I'd be able to...
Then, as Frog and Turtle watched, dozens of bubbles passed over them, leaping out of the woods and tumbling into the river.
Boy, I really like these bubbles.
And we know where they were coming from, don't we? The two young mice were blowing their hearts out by now, trying to see who could blow the biggest and the best bubbles, daring each other on. They blew different shapes and sizes, and then Ollie blew a double bubble.
Boy, Ollie, did you see that one? Way to go. Boy, way to go.
And then Stan just had to top that one. Wow.
Bubbles shining, tumbling, climbing, shimmering, glimmering, bouncing just like shiny babies, laughing in the sun. Bubbles shining, tumbling, climbing, shimmering, glimmering, bouncing just like shiny babies, laughing in the sun.
Hammy and GP were still working at GP's crossword puzzle.
Big and squishy and floats through the air. That's a tough one, Hammy, a tough one.
When they noticed something strange going by the window outside. GP, I think we should look outside. Something really weird is happening.
Come on, Hammy, let's check it out. Oh, my goodness, Hammy, we're under attack. Quick, into the car. There's not a moment to spare.
Hammy wasn't so sure, but decided to go along for the ride anyway. After all, every ride with GP was an adventure on its own. GP drove like a pig possessed.
Look at them, Hammy. They're everywhere.
I think they're kind of pretty, GP. Why are we chasing them?
Well, because there's more of them than there are of us, Hammy. That's why. And they're attacking, aren't they? So they must be dangerous.
If you say so, GP. Anyhow, we're sure having a great ride.
Well, it's up to us to save the riverbank from this invasion, Hammy. Look, it's a wiggly-wobbly invasion happening right before our very eyes.
Everywhere GP looked, he saw wiggly, wobbly bubbles.
Come on, Hammy, it's up to us. We gotta save everybody.
And off they raced on their mission.
Boy, there's nothing I like better than sitting on my log in the sun watching bubbles. They're so big and soft and squishy. Come closer, Bubble. Come closer. Oops. I've never been kissed by a bubble before. Oops. Here comes another one.
By now, Stan and Ollie were running out of steam, and they probably swallowed quite a few soap suds as well.
I'm tuckered, Stan, but I just have to blow one more. Here goes.
And he huffed and puffed and blew the biggest, most wonderful bubble they'd ever seen. It rose majestically up out of the forest, floated out over the river, and headed straight downstream to Martha's house. The beautiful bubble stopped at Martha's dock and managed to just squeeze inside her door, and then floated over to where Martha still lay sleeping.
Hey, what's going on? And where's my pail and soap? And my father's clay pipe? What's happened here?
She was only confused for a moment, though, and then realized that Stan and Ollie had been up to some mischief.
Why, those little scamps. I bet I know what they're up to.
And with that, she headed out the door to find the source of all the bubbles. What do you think Martha will do? Martha had no trouble following the trail of bubbles, as the woods were still full of them. Then she looked over the top of a small hill, and there, exhausted and slightly green around the gills from swallowing soap suds, were Stan and Ollie, and her pipe, soap, and pail. She could see they'd learned their lesson, but decided she'd raise her voice anyway.
Hey, you scamps, you're not supposed to swallow it, you know. That's why it tastes so bad.
Stan and Ollie were properly startled and jumped as Martha shouted at them and began to apologize. But they only got a few words out before they started hiccuping soap bubbles.
Oh, Aunt Martha, we're so sorry. We
never do it again, Aunt Martha. We promise.
Martha ran down to help them clean up, put the pail, soap, and pipe back in the wagon, and pulled the whole thing off towards home. And they all laughed and giggled on the way. Meanwhile, in a part of the woods where there were still lots of bubbles, GP was chasing them with no luck.
Hey, Hammy, I've never seen so many of these things before. Hammy, look at them. Hey, stay where you are. There's no escaping now. Look at them, Hammy, all over the place.
I kind of like them, GP.
Yeah, but boy, are they fast. We don't seem to be able to catch them, Hammy. What's going to happen? Ooh, look at that one. Wow. Hammy, there's more. There's multiplying. They're all over the place, Hammy. Whoa, that was close. Don't look up, Hammy. Too many bubbles up there. Wow, look at them. We just can't get close to them.
Finally, he cornered one that had landed on the path.
Aha! Stay where you are. Don't move. I've got you cornered. There's no escaping the mighty GP. Stay where you are. Come on now. Don't
GP
move.
jumped bravely from his car and hid behind the nearest tree.
Oh, don't hurt him, GP. I just want him to surrender. Is he still there, Hammy?
I think he wants you to come out, GP.
All right, here I am. Ah! Ha ha! Coward! Coward! Come back and fight like a, come on, fight like a, who? Not who? What? What? Wait a minute, that's my question. Like a what?
Like a bubble, GP. Like a bubble.
That's it, GP. That's it. That's what, Hammy? Don't fool with the old pro now. That's what?
Well, that's the answer, GP. The answer to the crossword puzzle. Big and squishy, floats through the air, disappears when you touch it. Bubbles, GP. Bubbles.
Clever lad, Hamster. And clever of me to brought you along, or we might never have solved this mystery. Now, where do they all come from?
And with that, they raced off to see if Martha could answer that part of the question. Back at Martha's house, Martha and the boys washed up, with no more soap, of course, and settled down for an evening meal.
Come on and eat, guys. Hey, that sounds like GP's car.
Then Hammy, GP, and Turtle came in to join them for a plate of cookies.
Boy, Martha, you should have seen the bubbles that GP and I chased.
I really like bubbles. You know, I even had one come up and kiss me, but then he disappeared.
Stan and Ollie explained their prank, and they sat laughing and talking over the day's adventures.
Boy, Martha, you know what else happened? GP taught me how to do a crossword puzzle. Yeah, and Hammy's really good at it, Martha. You know, he really got the really tough one.
Well, that's wonderful, Hammy. Hey, I wonder what's happened to Turtle.
Turtle had decided to go look outside to see if there were any bubbles left.
Oh boy, I really love bubbles, especially big, rolly, squishy ones, like that one. Boy, it's so beautiful, and look, it's a double bubble, and it's landing in the water. And there's another one. Oh, I wish I could blow bubbles like that. Maybe if I practiced, maybe I could, but that would be another story, wouldn't it?
Thank you, Turtle. You know something? I couldn't have said it better myself.